Let's move on to this great interview that John Stossel did that went under the radar with Mike Pompeo, rumored 2024 presidential candidate, former CIA director and Secretary of State under President Trump. Fascinating and wide-ranging interview in which he really got pressed on several things, but we wanted to look at a couple. JFK and Edward Snowden. Let's roll the first clip from that.
Why'd you fight to keep the JFK files secret?
Because I was trying to keep Americans safe. And by the way, don't paint with too broad a brush. 99.6% of the JFK files are public today.
But it was 60 years ago.
John, not everything was 60 years ago. And I don't want to spend a lot of time walking through this, but suffice it to say, the definition of a document covered by this statute that you're referring to, it's a little bit wonky, but suffice it to say, if Congress holds a hearing tomorrow on the Kennedy assassination, the documents generated tomorrow will be part of those files. Those would be tomorrow, they'd be 60 seconds old, not 60 years old. And last thing I'll say is there are things that happened 60 years ago that are still important to keep in the vault. There are lots of things that happened that long ago that still are appropriate not to release. Think of names and addresses and families. And by the way, there's also no value in them. These don't hold the dark secrets that everybody wants to just hold up as the bogeyman. I saw the UFO files too. We've got bigger problems. In America, lots of bigger problems. Just because something is kept secret, why not go to the darkest corners? But it's a lot of fun. I'm happy to go there with you if you'd like. I had a chance to see not all of those documents, but most of them. The news value of them is grossly overrated, and the desire to keep them secret, the motivation, the rationale for keeping them secret is wholly justified.
So, yeah, the context of this, of course, Tucker Carlson recently said on his show that he invited Mike Pompeo on to talk about why he had made the decision to not release these documents. And Carlson also said that he spoke with somebody who had direct access to those documents and that person said, it indicated that the CIA itself was involved in a conspiracy to assassinate Kennedy. So that's Carlson's reporting. Carlson said Mike Pompeo, who never turns down an opportunity to come onto his show, declined the opportunity. He did agree to do an interview with John Stossel. Good for John Stossel for pressing him. Should we take Mike Pompeo's word that there's nothing to see here?
Ren, you know this better than I do, but what he's talking about, that this 60-year thing is absolute nonsense. If Congress were to hold a hearing tomorrow, that it would be, in the JFK files is sort of hilarious. And I think he almost knew it when he was saying it was funny, which is why he added that second answer, which is that, he goes on to say in the interview, potentially there are human sources that are still alive that might be compromised by it. And that, I think, is his real contention, that if there are people who are still alive that might be implicated by potentially releasing the percentage of documents, which is small, but obviously important because they haven't been released, despite the timeline, that these confidential human sources might be the problem. And Ryan, you mentioned the Tucker thing, and this is a great time to bring up a theory I know both you and I are interested in, that a legal scholar, and the name escapes me at the moment, floated, which is that potentially is Donald Trump Tucker Carlson's source? Who would have access both to Tucker and to those documents? Is it Donald Trump himself that told Tucker Carlson the CIA was involved in this assassination? And then you can, when you sort of fill in that blank, if that's the case, that the remaining JFK files sort of definitively prove that link, Mike Pompeo can say maybe to himself and to the country in a vague way that, he still needs to keep Americans safe and that the news value is low, potentially because everybody already knows about the JFK files, the JFK assassination's relationship to the CIA. So you can sort of see the intellectual gymnastics that might go into a rationalization like that.
Yeah, and if you go back and look at the syntax of the quote that the person gave to Tucker Carlson, this person that had direct access to these files, he said the quote was something like, "It's all fake. It's not the country that we thought it was." And when you think about the different quotes that then Carlson reads on air, and you think about how Trump speaks and thinks, you're like, oh, that's funny. That actually Trump might be his source. I don't know if that doesn't necessarily inspire me with more confidence than less. But it does make me want to see the documents. Like, well, okay, what are these? And Pompeo's argument to me isn't serious because there are such things as redactions. Like if there is an 80-year-old who was
Right.
undercover in Mexico City in 1960, and when they were 20 years old, then you can redact that name, or you can. They have redacted enormous amounts of the files that they have released so far, and so if that's really what it is, then just go ahead and release it. Let's play the Edward Snowden clip where he presses him on these questions and gets some rather kind of stark answers from Pompeo.
Edward Snowden, the man who told the world about the federal government's sweeping top-secret domestic spying program, is on the move.
After Snowden fled America, Pompeo said.
We've had the traitor Edward Snowden steal that information. He should be brought back from Russia and given due process, and I think the proper outcome would be that he would be given a death sentence.
He should be executed? He's a traitor?
Yes.
What the NSA is doing every single day as ordinary course of business is violating not only the laws as written, but likely the Constitution.
What he told the American people about, courts said, was illegal.
Both of those thoughts can be held in one's head at the same time.
So what should he have done?
You can't steal stuff, John. You can't steal American secrets. It's unacceptable. Even if your justification is noble, he put my friends at risk. He put your family members or your cousin or your friend who's serving in a submarine fleet somewhere in the world. He put their lives at risk, and he did it by stealing American stuff, and that by definition is unlawful, and he did it in a way that he knew put their lives at risk.
What's one example that no longer would threaten somebody? How does he threaten somebody?
Well, the information that he stole and then provided to the world, shared, trying to figure out how to do it without being the same man that he is, shared patterns of American activity and our naval fleet. This is dangerous, John. That's not noble. That's not sharing something the government's doing that's bad. And that wasn't his mission set. His mission set was to be mischievous and undermine the United States of America. Make no mistake about it. Edward Snowden's intentions were to weaken the United States of America, and he did.
Yeah, what was your reaction to that?
So he also in the interview didn't know when Stossel brought up that there was a previous whistleblower. Pompeo said he hadn't heard that another person had attempted to blow the whistle by talking to Republican staffers, by the way, Republican congressional staffers, intelligence staffers, with this information and had ultimately been punished. That actually a lot of people have been punished in the process of trying to blow the whistle on the NSA's post 9/11 activities. And Pompeo basically said he wasn't familiar with the fact that that had happened. And so if I'm in Edward Snowden's case, do I morally know whether or not he did the right thing? It's hard for me to say. I think there's a real question there. But at the same time, Edward Snowden is clearly a victim of the impossibility that our government created surrounding blowing the whistle on the NSA. And the value, I think it's pretty easy to argue, the value of what he revealed is outweighed. The sort of cost benefit, the benefit of what he revealed is outweighed by the cost. And we continue, I think, to learn more, proving that's the case.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I also think that there's something revealing about his use of America and America's secrets. And it raises the question of what is the definition of America? And for Pompeo, clearly what he means by America is the American government. Like that the American government has sole custody of all of these secrets. Whereas I think most people would think of America as we the people, that there is a collective ownership of these things, and that the people have a right to this information. Now, the government has a right to try to keep important secrets, and it ought to do that to keep people safe. If it fails at doing that, it has remedies. It can fire those people. It can not hire those people in the future. It can take away their security clearances. But everyone in this country has a First Amendment right to speech. Whether you work for the government or not, you have a First Amendment right to speech. And all of us as Americans, have a right to know whether or not our government is breaking laws. And I think your point is a great one, that, okay, let's say that Edward Snowden had tried that route. Oh, we don't have to say, because we know that people have tried it in the past and they haven't gone anywhere. So you can't set up a situation where nobody can kind of blow the whistle legally and then also say, well, that's your only avenue. Oh, it doesn't work? Too bad.
Whoops. Yep. No, exactly. And just as we wrap up, I want to make a final comment. I think it's great that a former CIA director is actually running for president, because that means he will be peppered with a lot of questions. Good for John Stossel for asking those questions. And I look forward to hearing more people question Mike Pompeo on these issues.
And coincidentally, the last CIA director to serve as president is thought to have possibly been involved with the very conspiracy.
Don't worry about it.
Pompeo does not want more documents to be released upon. Another CIA director in the White House. I can't imagine him. And last question for you: I can't imagine him as a credible Republican candidate. But what do I know? Could he be?
You know, I think he's good on a huge issue, good from the perspective of a Republican voter on a huge issue for them, which is China. So that is a top priority for the average Republican voter, and Pompeo probably checks a lot of boxes on that note. Nikki Haley is obviously announcing her run for president today. Someone who I don't think checks a lot of boxes on China and the economy and national security in the same way Pompeo might, but two almost similar candidates in a way, kind of hawkish, pre-Trump figures. So it'll be interesting to watch the race evolve.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.